Good morning, everybody. My name is, excuse me, my name is Dave Finale, and this is Real Estate Talk, TGIF, episode 320, and that's 316 weeks in a row. Very proud of our streak. I'm a streak guy. I love to do streaks. I got a lot of them going. I keep them going as much as I possible. But today, I want to say we were supposed to have George Morris on, who is the CEO and founder of Century 21 Everest in Utah, one of the top Century 21 brokers in the world. George got ill, and Jen has really shined up for me to come on and help me out. I've been trying to get Jen on for a long time, and it worked out. We saw each other, we got started, and here we are, and Jen Schiff is with us. Jen,
so Dave, you're telling me I'm the second best guest that you could ever have.
No, you're not the second best guest. Every week I have great people, and every week it gets better. Look at it this way. A couple of weeks ago, I had Jen Weiner on. This next week, I have Tina Call. So look at these great women I'm having on. Plus, I've had Cheplack and all the others. Just great people. And to me, it's just such an honor to have you with me here. And truth be told, guys, we work together. So we met each other for the first time in person the other day, and been working together all at most of 24. So I'm really excited to talk to you about everything. But first, let's go to the intro video. Hit it.
Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team.
Again, good morning, everybody. Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 320. This broadcast is a great thing that I've started doing over 6 years ago, and I enjoy doing it to bring as much value to real estate agents as possible. And thank goodness I'm able to do it with Real Estate Skill Builder as well as the Align team that is growing. And Jen Schiff is our COO. Jen is a multipreneur. There's so many great things about Jen. She's a business strategist, a real estate business strategist, public speaker, coach, consultant. She believes that you don't hit a ceiling in your business. You can build it and never wonder about breaking through to your next level of success, because these are people, and she is someone that can help you do that. And I could go on. You co-own your own real estate team, which currently ranks number 2 in the state of Maryland, partner and COO of Align Expansion Network, and which is on pace to do $400 million in volume in 2024. Jen, there's so many things I could talk about you, but one of the things I want to say, which I think is the best thing that we can talk about, is how passionate you are about what you do with agents, with people growing their business and everything else, and with the people that you work with. You are supportive. You are so many things. But before we get started on how you do that, I want to hear about your journey. I want to understand how you got to where you are today from when you started. And you could start anywhere. Nobody's ever started at kindergarten, but you weren't the person who went to high school and went to college thinking you're going to be in real estate, did you? Or tell me about your journey.
Well, I didn't finish high school, and I barely went to college.
Okay.
So start there. Yeah. And so I ended up getting my AA, but I did not complete college, and I definitely wasn't the person who came into business from business. And I was raised with my family being in entrepreneurship. However, my father had passed away when I was 16. So at the time that I created anything in my adult life, it really was from nothing, both financially or from any prior platform that I had to create off of. So that is something fun. A fun fact about me also is I've done all of these things, and I've never actually been on a real estate contract before. So I never actually went into direct production on my own. I started in like a production partner with Michael when we started the team, always held my license, and started in leadership and growth from day one. And so that's another fascinating thing that people find out about me in my journey, is knowing that component. So that's a lot of fun. But I began in 2011. It took about 2 years to get me into the industry because I was watching what agents did, and I thought I had a better way of life. But my husband at the time, Michael, convinced me that this was what we were going to do, and invited me to a real estate conference. And at that point, it was February of 2011, and I attended a family reunion, and I listened to Gary Keller explain a business model. And I looked over at Michael and I said, "Oh, this doesn't look like you banging your head against the wall at 1 a.m. putting in pictures in the MLS. This looks like something that I could actually follow. I can do this. You got me. Let's start a team." Took me like 6 months, but in that 6 months, I had already attended like 4 different classes and gone to Quantum Leap and gone to the business planning clinic and gone to Win with Sellers and gone to Win with Buyers and got my license. And like right there, you could start to just see like that kind of immediate action taking mentality that I had.
Right.
So finally, it was about 6 months, but October in 2011, we started our real estate team. Michael was at about $11 million in production at that point. Of all the things I do, one of my favorite is just doubling businesses, right? So he was the first business I had ever doubled. So we went from like 11 to 25, 25 to 48, 48 to 60 something, 78, and we kind of doubled and doubled and became number one in that time at our market. And then 2016 came along and I was getting bored because we were the ceiling. And a lot of what you know now is all about never being the ceiling. So just being bored and only having our own thought leadership or having to make the decisions on our own. Seth Campbell at the time, who you may know, was our regional director and he was the OP in our market center. And he had always had this opportunity, an eye on me to be able to do something in partnership together. And so it was just very good timing for taking a regional position in 5 Doors expansion. So in 2016, I got into the early days of the initial expansion teams when it was first getting started, before it even started in, any of the cloud worlds.
Right.
And went on those runs. So like 2016, 2018, I was doing expansion across the country. We were up to 20 different markets and doubled that business as well. We went from 750 units to 1,400 and change in just 12 months. So that was a really fun run. And really just sharing kind of this history is the reason I'm able to now do a lot of the things you shared with in the beginning that I do, which sound really incredible and great and awesome, except for it's really just built on these conversations. And what I'm sharing I've done is just years of time on task, failing at everything over and over and watching everyone else fail at everything over and over. And eventually you learn that there's only so many ways to skin the cat and you figure out the human behavior dynamic of what we're doing, and you understand the systems and the operational standpoints of what we're doing, and then you can actually start to impact lives. And so again, it was a bunch of different things. I went into expansion. I launched a prop tech startup for about a year, and then got bored again. And it was 2020 that I started going into the Manifest Network, and that's where I started my coaching and consulting and partnered and came into the EXP brokerage. Jen Wayner and Tina, as you mentioned, they're both incredible women. They're 2 of the partners that I was coaching for in like that time period that I was doing it. So I was working with a lot of the big teams across the country and at really all scale, because I just love to help agents, whether you're a new agent or you have a $500 million real estate business, if I can help you, or I always want to. And from that, I was just doing a lot of coaching. And then eventually from that coaching, Brett Sikora was one of the people who came to me and asked for coaching on his real estate team. And at that point, Brett had just a little bit under about a $200 million real estate team. And, what ended up happening, and it's a long story, but I think it's important is, when I began coaching at high volume, I learned at the highest degree possible that it doesn't matter what you know, it matters what people are willing to do. And when you're in big organizations and you're one person spending an hour with a big organization, it's really challenging, even if you can see it crystal clear what needs to happen, to get all the parties to have the proper mindset, behavior, and alignment to actually make it happen, to like win the way you can win. And I got into coaching to help people, not because I couldn't do it myself. And so I knew that I wanted to go back into recreating another version of the model that I knew could really serve agents and meet them where they were. And that is how Brett and I birthed Align. We both saw that opportunity. He wanted to be able to break through what was happening in his real estate team. I wanted to move into having the opportunity to focus on less businesses and really be a partner in that business versus a coach or a consultant to them, because that ends. And from that, the rest is history.
So now with Align, thank you for that. So now with Align, we've started to grow in different markets.
Yeah.
Right. And is that more of being attractive as far as how Align is set up and how you've set up the operations? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, ultimately, Align has become a world in which we want to be able to serve any real estate business professional or agent wherever they are. We didn't want to be in the business of square pegs and round holes. We wanted to be able to have a box with every shape. And as we understood the shape of the person, we could tell them how we could support them. And that is really the structure of Align. And it works in different mechanisms. But at the end of the day, whether you're an agent or whether you're a real estate team, there's things that you should be doing and there's things that you shouldn't be doing. And just think of Align as the mechanism to everything you shouldn't be doing so you can actually get what you need to get done effectively. I also am just a strong believer that any of us, including myself, left to our own mindset or our own device, are in the least effective state possible. So Align is really about the thought leadership, the partnerships. You and I were talking a little about it earlier, being able to get on calls with other incredible people and collaborate in helping drive the most important thing before anything, and that's real estate productivity. And once you have production, other things can happen. Yet if there's not production, then we really have a three-legged stool, and that's not the type of profitable and abundant businesses we want to be able to grow and work with.
So everything in the person's business and personalities and attitudes and everything all drives from production, as you said, right? So you've got to start somewhere. And you mentioned that we can see what people should be doing and shouldn't be doing. Let me qualify that for everybody, right? You might be talking, some people might think we're talking about, well, you should be prospecting this way, or you should be prospecting that way, or there's things you shouldn't be doing in your business. Let somebody else do it. Leverage, right? Talk to me about how that all works together.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you, in my perspective, right, everybody has their own perspective. We're all watching a different movie. Yet if you're an incredible salesperson, you likely should not be an incredible operator, right? Humans are not meant to perform all tasks at excellence. We are all built, and our behavior is designed to be skilled at some things better than others. That's the reason there are hunters and gatherers. And so if we can put the hunter to be hunting and not hunting and gathering, and the gathering to be gathering and not attempting to hunt, everyone can just get what they want a lot faster. And so if you think about the structure of real estate team, our hunters are our sales force and our gatherers are the administrative and the supportive, the staff, the systems, the operators. And again, most real estate agents are in the business because they want an abundant lifestyle. They want a lot of money. They want to work as little as possible in most cases, right? And so, my role is to get everybody what they want as fast as humanly possible and show them that it actually only takes 10 hours a week of concerted effort to get your $10 to $15 million volume business if you do it in consistency. And the fun part is like we've proven it with so many agents around us. So we have so many six-figure agents in the organization who are running the models and winning. There's this fun energy and confidence in knowing that the only thing in our world that keeps anybody from getting what they want in their business is them playing time on task in the action. So there's no excuses less, and that makes it fun.
So, all right. So I'm sure those that will watch this will hear you say in 10 hours a week, yada, yada, yada. 10 hours a week, they're going to be able to build a business that they want. Talk to me about that too.
Yeah. So, it is productivity by design, not default in a sense. And real estate is a sales business, and all sales is based in metrics, and agents lie and numbers don't. So if we take that and we really look at the true data, there's a range in which it takes someone to run a mile. And the person who's run the fastest mile, there's no one running it faster than that. So for instance, if you're somebody who wants to schedule appointments from your sphere of influence, and the best of the best in the country takes 4 conversations to be able to set an appointment, and it takes most people 12 to 15, and you're making 3, you can't have an expectation that you're going to set appointments with your sphere of influence. And if you think that your 25 minutes of effort and those 3 conversations that exhausted you were enough to actually say that I've put my work in for today and I don't have the results, well, Unfortunately, that's probably not the right career path for you because you're unwilling to do the work. So what we really do is take willingness and learn how to take willingness and match it around the performance tactics that we know prove the results. And at the end of the day, again, real estate is a sales mechanism. There are metrics, and you can, using sales ops tools like pipelines, be able to predict where your business is coming from. Again, an example is, in this market right now, we find that it's taking people who run pipelines about 3 to 5 A buyers to get a pending closed. If you're starting the beginning of the month and you have 1 A buyer in your pipeline, unless, again, yes, there's a chance that that person will go under contract and convert, yet for most people, it's taking 3 to 5 of those to do it. So if you start the beginning of the month without it, your likelihood of pending is not possible. Now, if you want 2, you probably have to have 6 to 10. Now, we usually don't operate that way. We operate and we wake up and we say, what do I do? And now what do I do? And what do I do? And how do I think about what I need to do? And I'm overwhelmed from thinking about what I need to do. And should I do this? And should I do what they did? And let me go on social media and look what 10 other people did and be upset at myself because I'm not doing anything. And then let me put my head on the pillow disappointed because I have no results and start again in the same cycle. We're here to break that. You don't need to do that. It's not necessary. You can perform, and those 10 hours are all about understanding that there's a minimum amount of effort you apply to get the result of the person who ran the fastest mile. And until you benchmark that for yourself and then go run that mile over and over and over again, you'll always be in gap. Yet the moment you solve it, you can predict your productivity and you can make it happen based on the amount of time it takes you and the amount of contacts and conversations it takes you to schedule appointments based on the lead pocket you're calling. And that is where real estate is proven. And there's nobody who has ever applied this methodology and come to say they don't have the results. So we're very confident in helping people have the structure and systems to understand it.
The most important thing you're talking about really is you just have to do the work and base everything on what you have metrics. Like what you're saying is, and I 100% agree with you, as you know, if you know how many calls or how many conversations or how many buyers you need to do a deal, and you wake up one day and say, well, you know what, I need a new transaction today, you know what you have to do, right? It's almost like when you buy a toy and you have to put it together, you follow the directions, right? And these are the directions. What's that?
I love that analogy.
Yeah, I mean, it works. Like I always say to agents, look, here are the directions that we have to do. I actually have a document called the directions on how to build your real estate business, right? And what I would say is, you know, years ago, when we would get a bicycle for our kids for Christmas, we would have to put it together. Those days are over, but we had to put everything together. And I found the hard way, if I didn't read the directions and do everything step by step, I would have to take it all apart again and put it back together the right way and read the directions. We've given you the directions. Now, understand one of my favorite sayings of all time, and you hit the nail on the head with this in a different way, you can't judge a fish on their ability to climb a tree. So what I mean by that is you've said that, you know, some people want to do it this way, some people want to do it this way, and they go through the anxiety and the guilt and all those feelings through the day by not getting to where they want to get. We've just given you that you can do what you want to do at that time. Because most people don't understand follow-up. They don't understand making calls. They don't understand prospecting. Oh, I got to do that. How do I fill out this forms? I hate forms. That's the kind of thing we're talking about, things you should not be doing if it doesn't work for you. There's a lot of different places and different things you can do in this business to be successful and to get that 6-figure income, or that, let's say, multiple 6-figure income. Because let's face it, $100,000 is now what it was 6 years ago is now $200,000 or $300,000, and that's where you want to get.
Yeah.
Having said all that, what's the process for an agent so they can really be what we're talking about and to actually build what they need to build?
Oh, well, that's easy, Dave. It starts with one thing, and that is themselves. You know, it's a belief system. The stimulus that we have had the honor to serve and collaborate and talk with real estate professionals, we know that there is nothing that anyone can show you or direct you to, offer you, or provide in value if you don't have an intrinsic belief system within you that gives you the openness to do the work. And when people win, they win because they're open. And when people don't, their brains are paralyzing them. So at any step, I also and always recommend that you really have a little bit of a reality check with yourself, because spending months and years in this ineffective mind cycle, not doing work and being upset at yourself for not having the money or performance that you delusionally imagine you should have with zero effort, well, that's not healthy either. So again, I believe that you really have to start with where you are for yourself. And then from that point, if you're starting at zero, you have to benchmark and not stop until you know what it takes. So that doesn't mean that you get to work for 15 minutes, make 3 calls, and be sad that nobody wants to buy, sell, or invest and go hang out with your friends for the rest of the day. It means you get on the phone with a clock and you make as many conversations happen in the same source possible, if you can do that and have enough context to do that. And you wait until you get an appointment and you look down on your piece of paper and you look how many times you ticked down that you made contacts, and you say, oh, wow, it takes me 11 conversations. So I'm going to go do 11 more and have 2 appointments today. Oh, wow, that just took me 2.5 hours. You multiply 2.5 hours and your 2 appointments, and you throw that into 10. If anyone's scheduling 4 to 8 appointments a week, you're all in a really, really great place. So it's simple, just not easy to apply time on task. Everybody wants a solution. They want a shiny penny and they want a magic pill, but the magic pill of real estate is time on task, no matter how you look at it.
So here's the thing about that is I have right here my shiny penny. So it sits in front of me and I look at it and it's everything I need. But all kidding aside, it's just very important to realize that you've got it's really not difficult to figure out, and everybody's made it really difficult because I think it's about society today, Jen. And I think what I mean by that is there's so many things out there. There's so many things that people are doing, and people are doing that. It's like you look at billboards today, right up here. We've seen billboards be very, very successful for several agents, actually one in particular, and everybody has copied him. We've seen billboards successful for other industries.
The Remax agent in New Jersey, are you mentioning?
Yes, I am. Rob sells New Jersey. And Rob's done a great, great job. He had a lot of support and a lot of help. And now you see a lot of other agents, doing that. But they're not. Rob had a message. Rob showed a message, and it works with what he did. And I saw a billboard the other day that just said top realtor, the person's name and phone number and their picture. I said, okay, what does that tell me? It doesn't tell me anything, right? However, the person will get some calls. I know a lot of realtors that put their picture on a billboard and got marriage proposals, right? Both men and women.
Is that what I've been missing, Dave?
Maybe that's what it is. It could be on a billboard.
Okay, I got my nugget for this session. Thank you.
but understand, but we're copying. You're copying what you're seeing. So social media and posting on Facebook and Instagram and whatever, or doing the funky dances. I mean, I'm not saying any of it doesn't work. I'm saying that it will work in conjunction with a lot of other things. And if you spend your time worrying about what others are doing, you're going to be stuck where you are today if you are stuck. And those that are, go ahead.
No, it's good. You finish your thought there. Go ahead.
No, and those that are stuck, it's stuck because you actually want to be stuck.
Yes, it's a choice. Stuck is a choice. And my favorite quote is that real estate agents are like snowflakes. So go be your own snowflake, because no two are the same. And instead of us just creating our own imprint, we attempt to duplicate the imprint of somebody else. And what I do know from being inside more real estate businesses than most people have been in comparison, there's nothing that's the same. Even the buyer guide is a percentage different. The way they track is a percentage different. The form has different questions in it. The way they ask for reviews are different. The way they reach their sellers are different. The way their database is categorized is different. Nobody duplicates. They all take the same thing because we all want to have our own personal genius. Our ego needs us to create this ability to look good and be right. And so that's the reason we're always in this different shifting of what to do, because our brain can't accept that it can just be done as it is. It thinks we need some sort of creative genius added to it before we perform to create the utopia that never exists. So it's breaking that down.
And the important part of that is that everything is different, but there's one thing of copying and there's another thing of modeling, right? So when we see others being successful, You're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, and that's what people are copying. You're not modeling the hard work. If you really look at an iceberg and what it looks like on a cross section, all that hard work is underwater, right? It's just so much involved. I mean, we can talk about Rob. We can talk about a lot of other people that are out there with their billboards because it worked. That's something that worked for them. But it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. What we're saying is, don't worry about what's shiny out there. Be yourself. Is that right?
You got it. Be yourself. Do your thing. Because the reality is, and I say this word over and over, although it is the greatest breakthrough, what you are willing to do is likely not what they are willing to do. So you can't duplicate their results off of willingness alone. So you need to work inside your own ability to do what you are open to doing, because if they're building their business from billboards and you don't want someone to see your face, it's not going to work. If they're building their business from doing videos with local restaurants and you don't like being on video, it's not going to work. If you can't go into a CRM and put next touch dates on a system and they build their business solely off of the CRM based database model, you're not going to do it. So you do have to get to the point where you figure out, you got to pick your poison. And it's usually not going to be the person that you're seeing succeed, because just we all operate a little differently. There's this idea that there's systems of behavior and systems of operations, and we are always waiting to change ourselves to perform. But what we need to do is accept ourselves as we are and build the systems around our behavior to get the result exactly in the way we're being.
I mean, yeah, there's no other way to put it. I mean, look at it that way. You talked earlier about you love I'm going to call it the art of doubling, right? So you're talking about doubling businesses, doubling what you and Michael were doing, et cetera, and going forward.
Yeah, I've done it with a bunch of businesses since.
So talk to me about, okay, I'm doing 10 million in production now, and I think I'm pretty great. I'm going to tell you that agents that are doing 3 to 5 to 6 deals think they're doing fantastic. And you know what? With the money that's coming in, probably, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm a $10 million producer. How do I double my business?
Well, I double businesses with systems. So systems. We use systems. And it's just really the breakdown of what I said, systems around behavior and systems of operations. So we understand how that $10 million producer is showing up to themselves on a daily basis. We're checking the mindset of them and what may not be serving their perspective to get them more of what they want. And then we're adding systems and structure around their database and their lead generation, so they know the minimum amount of effort they have to do to get the result. And then usually somewhere along that path, if you're going from a $10 to $20 million scale, there's some leverage in it as well. So it's usually a combination of some leverage, which is also a system, and then actual systems, again, around your lead generation, around your database, and around your contacts. And that alone does it. Obviously, there's more to it, but it is really just instilling system around people. And then in bigger businesses, it's installing and enhancing systems. Right. So when you take the $250,000 person who wants to now get to 500,000, and then the 500,000 person who wants to get to 7 figures, all those different scales, you take the systems and then you pretty much enhance them, and you top grade the people and you top grade the leverage, and that will create that space when the people are in place willing to do the work.
So willing to do the work is basically what you said before. It's a choice, right? It's a choice of what everybody has to do or wants to do if they really want to build a business. So when we look at making those choices, there's a lot of different ways to go. How do you take that person that is new in the business that says, well, I want to do this, or I want to do that, or I want to just work with the people I know, or they don't want to work with the people they know? I'm going to call these people. How do you? What's the main way that you can take an agent? We can take an agent and help them grow their business from the outset. We've talked to a lot of agents, a lot of new agents that say, well, I want to do this much in the next 6 months, or I want to do this much in the next 12 months. Is it as simple as that, of the choice to do it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there is a little bit more, but not much, because it is just doing enough of whatever it may be. Like, it's the decision of it, and then it's the action and consistency of it. that will then get them to the result they want. And again, there is a predictability. Will it take them 10 or 30 conversations to get the result? We don't know that yet, because a lot of it's going to depend on what they've done in the past and their just overall sales and conversation skills. Yet, will they get to the result? Yes. At some point, they're going to get there. And so wherever you are in your business, whether it's taking on something new and you're already successful, or you're attempting to just learn how to be a real estate agent, you have to do enough work to get the result and then get better and better and better. And really, it's the development along the way of who you become that gets you to be good, because there's a lot of tenacity and failure and objection and learning and understanding and getting outside of your mind and learning how to listen more than speak, and learning how to question from what you're hearing versus ask from what you believe. So there's a lot of different aspects that take time to cultivate skill around. And if you're not applying time on task and you're just going at bat without any practice, how good are you ever going to be? There's no sport that anybody's in the major leagues that there's not practice around. And if you don't apply time on task and you just get at bat and expect the home run, which is what most agents expect, I don't know anyone who's doing that. And so what makes us think that we're the person who should? It's not realistic. And that's where the agent's delusions show up a lot. They think that any amount of effort should provide a result. And then when the result's not immediate, they use that negative energy to keep themselves stuck. And their brain give them that I told you so mentality in a lot of ways, if they're not doing it and working through consistently. But the habit, we say desire isn't the starting point. Desire is earned. So you earn desire through enough action to realize that you can generate a result. And as soon as you can get the energy to realize you can generate a result, then all you want, like, we're dopamine junkies, right? That's what real estate agents are. You're chasing the high. Well, how good would it feel if you knew where to pick it up every day? And that's in knowing how many contacts it takes. Where's your stash house? It's 13 contacts in. Go get it, Tiger. And most people aren't spending the time to figure that out.
So it doesn't start with desire. It starts with choice.
Choice. And choice has to be prepared, because the brain, when given a choice in the moment, will not ever give you the choice of what should be done. Should, meaning towards this result you're working towards. The brain will tell you what's comfortable, because the mind doesn't know what's real or not. It only wants to recreate the feelings it's felt up until this point. So up until this point, if every day you felt like you were not winning, or you were feeling like you are gapped in your result, your brain is going to make sure it does everything to paint a movie and picture to you to make sure you fail again today and put your head on the pillow feeling like you didn't do what you said you would. So it actually takes concerted effort to trick the brain into doing actions in which it realizes that it can get what it wants, and then it'll feed you. That's habit formation. The habituation of something becomes the task at repetition, in which on the other side there is a reward or an outcome in which it then begins to desire, because it gets you something like that dopamine hit. And so using that cycle will help create that consistency that a lot of us look for and don't always find.
Jen, I got to tell you, there's not one time I speak with you or to you that I don't get something out of it. It's just, this is like mind blowing for me. And we've talked about a lot of mindset stuff. We talk about everything is choice. It has to be in here. Let's face it. As well as I know that when you're going to make that call, that first call, that prospecting call, and I say this at boot camps, and I say this to all the agents I work with, you get that anxiety, and you kind of feel it right in here down to your stomach, right? It's a physical feeling that makes you, okay, what am I doing? This is unknown and stuff. Is there a way to get through the unknowns and to actually build the business, or does it just take repetition?
Well, I'm sure, there's not one answer. I could tell you what's on my heart when you say that, but if we put 5 people on a panel right now, we can probably get 5 different answers around that. There's that amazing quote that we say, it's, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So I think it is, I have amazing slides I could talk to around this, but it would probably be hard to find. But I have something called a change cycle, right? And that just explains the fact that there is a mental and physical process that any human being has to go through in order to get to a new version of self. And what happens is at the first moments when you go downhill and you start to feel like chaos and resistance and like it's a mistake and everything's messed up, that's where we stop and we run back up the hill. But you have to learn that this like change process takes you down this hill of being Like, this is wrong. This doesn't feel good. This is scary. I don't know what's happening. I can't predict the future. I can't see that step left and step right are going to get me where I want to go. What do I do? And then all of a sudden, if you trust that change process and you don't stop, which means you go from call 3 to call 4 to call 5 to call 6. If you take 8 days of no appointments and you still get on the phone the 9th day and get 3, and you finally hit some sort of momentum where something works, all of a sudden your brain now is like, holy crap, I need this. And then it's like, let me go get it again. And then consistency happens and consistency happens, and you get a new version of self. But all that happens with that is you knock yourself right back down and you go down the hill, because you just got a set of new problems and you want to go create more things. Yet if you don't have the relationship with the fact that you have to expect to feel sick, you have to expect to feel in mental chaos. It needs to not feel right. If it feels right, it's comfortable. And if it feels sick, it means you're moving in the right direction. So they say that the most successful people in the world, when they interview them, one of the greatest correlations to all of them is their level with the ability to manage stress and chaos. Because it's not the trigger to stop, it's the trigger to keep going. Because on the other side, you will get what you want. You have to push through. That's how I am where I am today. I have worked through every failure. I have had everybody tell me that I couldn't do it, or I shouldn't do it, or I wasn't right, or I can't do this, or I shouldn't do that, or this or that and the other. And, I just always go where I feel that I'm able to flow in my impact. And if 10 people tell me no, then I go find the 11th person who tells me yes. And I find that with that 11th person, we go find 1,100 more people who say yes too. And so whether it's in lead generation, whether it's in how you're showing up in the world, like if you believe in something for yourself and you know that you can create it, you don't stop at the judgment of others. You don't stop because people tell you you should, or you couldn't, or you can, or you don't deserve it, or you're not qualified for it, or anything or you're a woman. How about that one for all the women watching? Don't let any man or any being tell you what you can create can't be done. And we're sitting here looking at that example right now in where my story has landed with a line.
I think the most important thing, what you said, aside everything you said, there's so many important things in there. I'm gonna say that don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. Don't let anyone say, well, that you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. You just said 10 people tell you no, you're searching for that 11th person. You keep going. There's so many examples in life, and we can drop names and all that shit, but we don't have to do that, because here it is right there, the example. You just keep going. And copying and modeling. I mean, everything we've said, if we said anything that has to do with negativity or where you shouldn't go, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means that this is where the experiences that we've had, the wisdom we've been able to take and put together. On
that point, Dave, real quick, because I just had a conversation with somebody about this, and everyone's listening is different. So we were having these conversations, and they were coming up with ideas that, we've seen what happens on the other side of the ideas, right? So we had some feedback around ways to potentially perform or task out differently to get to the result faster. And in that initial conversation, the person saw this as, what I think is wrong, what you think is right, and you're telling me what I should do versus what I shouldn't do, right? And I broke through that whole conversation to get to the side of being on the same page and the win-win and all of that. But the point to that being really in it is understanding that it's an effectiveness scale. It's an efficiency scale. So anybody who applies enough time on task will finally get a result no matter what. Yet if you're telling me the story of how you're going to get the results in 8 hours, and I know how to get the results in 1 hour, I, with all my heart and soul, are going to attempt you to see that while you're watching Cinderella and I'm watching Moana. Moana's a really good movie too. So you should just check it out at the end of your movie. And so that's the way I operate, because a lot of times that's really what's going on.
So I want to hit one other point, and this is something that everyone should listen to, because I reach this point on a lot of things I do. The time to quit, the time to change. You mentioned the change cycle. I look at a lot of things as, and sometimes I get caught up in it. Like I call it the J curve or the bell curve. What do you want to look at it? Where you start something new, and all of a sudden you're working on something new, and you're not getting the results. And you keep doing what you're told to do. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. You think, hey, you know what? This isn't working. I got to change. And then everybody will say, just another day, just another time, because what people usually do, we all know what a J is. A J is like this, right? And you reach bottom and say, shit's not working. I put this money in, I put the time in. When do I quit? Jen, when do you quit in the J cycle? When do you quit? You don't, you said.
You don't. If you're the last man standing, you keep going. I could tell a lot of stories, but I can try to do this one quickly. In 2020, it started in 2017, the attempt to move us to EXP. We were at 5 doors at that time. Glenn was attempting to get Seth and all of the entire country's expansion team over at once. It was before anyone was here. I probably wouldn't be on this call right now if we had made that move. However, we were like EXP who, and I was the biggest hater. I was going to kill it for everybody. And, there was a really long period of time where we went back and forth between 2017 and 2020 to decide what brokerage and what was next for us in our real estate career. And it had taken, about a year for us to put together, there's like 5 different real estate teams. It would have been about $350 million in volume of agents, which was like the largest brokerage move in Maryland at that time. And they had gone to their brokerage. 2 of the 5 had already told them. I mean, we were there. It was done. And the day we were moving into the office and the final people were going and the announcements, everything was recorded, everything was done, COVID hit. And everybody lost their mind and everything that we had created broke down, including Michael being unwilling to move our real estate team to EXP. So at that point, I had a decision and I was going to do what everybody else was doing and I was going to stay put, or I was going to continue to believe in this thing that I had finally gotten and understood was my solution. And I had poured my heart and soul into for this time to build this thing and these people. And I came alone and I left the real estate team at KW and I handed it to them for 6 months. And I left those agents behind and I joined as agent 1 with 0. And in 2020, I came to EXP with nothing except for a belief system in myself and what was possible and a real estate license, not selling homes. And I built Manifest and Align on the heels of that belief system. The real estate team came a year later. The coaching consulting business came from ground zero, and it was just all built on exactly what I'm talking about. So one of the things about me is I know I have a lot of interesting things to say. It's on my own experiences and where I always am attempting to lead from the actions, just not from the words. And I think that's a good example of where that showed up and the rest became history. And now the team is here and everybody's together.
It's phenomenal. I mean, collaboration over competition. And I truly believe, Jen, in what we're doing at Align and what we're doing with this great company, EXP, is that there's not one question we can't answer. There's not one problem we cannot solve. Say that with confidence. Anybody else who watches this in any other situation in this industry, say that with confidence and stay where you are. Don't worry about what we're doing because we know we can do that. Jen, really quickly, a couple of quick things. We're running up on time. If there's one thing that a new agent needs to do, what is it?
Spend enough time working every week until you see the result. Don't stop. The result is the only option. The strategy is not available. Figure out a strategy after you get a result.
Perfect. 2 other things, and we're going to let you go. Number 1, the most important question I have asked, and I ask it at the end of every broadcast. It is, well, there's 2 questions.
I'm nervous.
I forgot the first question when we started. What does TGIF stand for?
For you? Thank goodness it's Friday.
Close. Thank God it's finale. That's I missed that in the beginning, and I'm glad I remembered to put it in. That's the number 1 question. That's the humor of the day. The next question is very serious for me. What can I do to help you grow your business?
What you can do to help me grow my business is continue to share your personal experience in the partnership that you're having with Align and the impact that we're making on each other and those around us. And that would be the greatest gift.
That's easy. Thank you so much. And last but not least,
do I get builder hat because I want to be a real estate skill builder.
You get an RE Skill Builder hat, absolutely. You get this one. It's actually going to be noted on what episode it is, and it's going to be signed too. So how about cool is that, right?
I love that.
Anyway, so thank you so much for being on today. Next week, really quickly, we have excuse me, another great woman, Tina Call, is going to join us from the Call Group and from North Carolina, and she's been on once before. You're going to love this as much as you love today. So again, your contact info is on the screen here, Jen. Is there anything else you want to add before we finalize today?
I would just say that it doesn't matter where you are in your business and how successful you are or whether you're getting started, the opportunity to be the best that can be, just not the best that you feel like being, is inside the desire to want something different for yourself and then doing the work that you don't desire to get the result. And it doesn't matter where you are or how far along. The next thing is in breaking that ceiling. So I hope everybody, no matter what production level or what their real estate business is at, can get that for themselves.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for coming on. Please stay on for a second as we go off. Everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you next week with Tina Call on number 321.
Bye.
Hit it, Nelson.